It's midnight. You tell yourself, just one more video. A dog dancing in socks. Swipe. A cooking hack you'll never try. Swipe. A stranger crying about a breakup. Swipe. Suddenly, it's 1:47 a.m. Your thumb feels tired, but your brain doesn't want to stop. And here's the strange part. You never chose the next video. You didn't click a button. You didn't decide what to watch. You didn't even pause to think. So why does closing the app feel harder than stopping a movie, finishing a book, or even turning off a TV? Because you're not just watching content. You're inside one of the most powerful design patterns ever created: infinite scroll. Imagine this. You walk into a buffet restaurant, not a normal buffet, one where the table moves slowly forward. Plates keep arriving. New dishes slide into view before you've even finished chewing the last bite. You never stand up. You never ask for more food. You just keep eating because the next plate appears automatically. That's what scrolling feels like. And once you see it, you'll realize something important. The hardest part about leaving TikTok isn't the videos. It's the lack of an ending. Let's rewind to a familiar moment. You're lying in bed after a long day. Maybe work was stressful. Maybe you just feel restless. You open TikTok for a minute. The first few videos are random. One is boring. You swipe. Another one makes you laugh. Swipe again. Suddenly the feed feels perfect. Every clip seems tailored to you. Your brain relaxes. There's no searching, no thinking, no deciding. Just swipe, swipe, swipe. Time disappears, but here's the hidden design trick. Infinite scroll removes the natural stopping points that normally help you quit. Think about older media. A TV episode ends. Credits roll. A YouTube video finishes. You see recommendations, but there's a pause. Even reading a book gives you chapters, page numbers, or physical fatigue as signals to stop. Infinite scroll erases those signals. It's like a road with no traffic lights. And our brains? They're terrible at stopping when nothing tells us to. This pattern didn't start with TikTok. Long before short videos took over, social media platforms experimented with endless feeds. The idea was simple. Instead of clicking next page, new content would load automatically as you reached the bottom. At first, it felt magical. No waiting, no interruptions. But the real magic wasn't technical. It was psychological. Because every time you swipe, you're making a tiny bet. Maybe the next video will be amazing. Maybe it'll be boring. Maybe it'll be hilarious. You don't know. And that uncertainty is exactly what keeps your thumb moving. Picture a slot machine in a casino. You pull a lever. Sometimes you win. Most times you don't. But the unpredictability keeps you playing longer than you planned. Infinite scroll works in a similar way. Not every video is great. In fact, many are forgettable. But every few swipes, you hit something that feels incredibly rewarding: a laugh, a surprise, a useful tip, or a moment that feels deeply relatable. Your brain starts to chase that next hit. It's not addiction in the dramatic movie sense. It's something quieter, curiosity mixed with uncertainty. An infinite scroll delivers both, endlessly. Here's where the design becomes almost invisible. Notice how little effort is required to keep going. There's no button to press. No loading screen to interrupt you. No decision to make. Just a tiny flick of your thumb. In the physical world, effort acts like friction. If you had to stand up every time you wanted another snack, you'd eat less. If you had to dial a new number to watch the next TV episode, you might reconsider. But infinite scroll removes friction completely. It turns watching into a reflex. Your thumb moves before your brain catches up. Now think about how videos are arranged. You rarely see 10 bad clips in a row. That's not luck. Behind the scenes, algorithms watch how long you pause, where you hesitate, which videos you replay. The feed adjusts constantly. It learns your sense of humor, your interests, your mood. The result feels strangely personal, like the app understands you better than you understand yourself. And that's when closing it becomes hardest, because leaving doesn't feel like stopping a random stream. It feels like walking away from something made just for you. Let's compare this to a grocery store. When you walk down an aisle, products are arranged to keep you moving forward. Bright packaging catches your eye. Items at eye level are often the ones the store wants you to buy. But there's still a limit. The aisle ends. You reach a wall. You turn a corner. Physical space creates boundaries. Infinite scroll has no walls. It's an aisle that extends forever. And without physical limits, our sense of time gets fuzzy. You're not measuring progress. There's no sense of I'm halfway through. There's only motion. Swipe equals forward, even if you don't know where forward leads. Here's another subtle trick. Most feeds are vertical. That sounds like a technical detail, but it changes everything. Vertical movement mirrors natural gestures, flipping through photos, turning pages, or even pulling a slot machine lever. The motion feels smooth and intuitive, which means your brain doesn't register it as effort. Horizontal movement often feels like navigating. Vertical movement feels like falling. You don't choose each step, you slide. And falling is easier than stopping. But infinite scroll isn't just about motion. It's about emotional pacing. Think about a well-edited movie trailer, quick cuts, dramatic shifts, surprise moments. TikTok compresses that pacing into a constant stream. Your brain barely finishes processing one emotion before the next arrives. Laughter, curiosity, shock, comfort. When emotions change quickly, time feels shorter. Minutes blur together. That's why 20 minutes on TikTok can feel like 5. Your internal clock loses its rhythm. Now, here's something most people don't notice. Stopping requires a conscious decision. Continuing requires nothing. Designers call this an asymmetry of effort. Imagine a treadmill that speeds up automatically unless you press a button to slow it down. Eventually, you're running faster than you intended. Not because you chose to, but because you didn't interrupt the system. Infinite scroll works the same way. The default action is continuation. And humans are surprisingly likely to follow the default. But is this always bad? Not necessarily. Infinite feeds can be incredibly useful. They help people discover new creators, learn skills quickly, or find communities they didn't know existed. A cooking enthusiast can stumble into dozens of recipes in minutes. A shy teenager might discover artists who inspire them. The pattern itself isn't evil, it's a tool. The difference lies in how it's used. Good design respects your attention. It helps you explore without trapping you. It gives subtle cues that let you step away. Maybe reminders of time spent or natural pauses in the feed. Darker uses of infinite scroll try to erase those exits completely. They blur the line between choice and habit. And most users never realize where that line disappeared. Let's talk about the feeling of just one more. You know it well. You're about to close the app, but you hesitate. What if the next video is the best one yet? This thought isn't random. It's the result of variable rewards, the same psychological pattern used in games and gambling. When rewards appear unpredictably, we stay engaged longer than when outcomes are predictable. If every video were equally good, you'd probably stop sooner. Ironically, inconsistency makes the feed stronger. The occasional amazing clip resets your motivation to keep scrolling. It's like digging for treasure where most rocks are ordinary. Here's another analogy. Imagine reading a mystery novel where every page ends mid-sentence. You keep turning pages because closure is always just ahead. Infinite scroll creates micro cliffhangers, not in the content itself, but in the structure of the feed. There's always another beginning, never a conclusion. and our brains crave closure. So we keep searching for it. Notice how closing TikTok feels different from closing a messaging app. When you finish reading messages, you feel done. Conversations have endings. But a feed doesn't end. There's always more content waiting. Leaving feels unfinished, like walking out of a movie before the final scene, even though there is no final scene. This is one of the most powerful illusions in digital design. The sense that stopping means missing something important. Now let's look at the ethical side. Infinite scroll can be designed to support curiosity, helping people explore art, humor, or education in small, digestible pieces. But it can also be tuned to maximize time spent at any cost. The same mechanics that help you learn quickly can also keep you awake longer than you intended. That's why awareness matters. Not fear, not guilt, just awareness. Because once you understand the pattern, you regain a tiny bit of control. Think about traffic lights again. When you drive through a city, red lights force you to pause. You might check your surroundings, adjust your route, or simply rest for a moment. What if roads had no lights at all? You'd keep moving endlessly. Not because you wanted to, but because nothing told you to stop. Infinite scroll removes those red lights, and your brain keeps accelerating. Here's something interesting. Many people don't actually remember most of what they watch during long scrolling sessions. The experience feels engaging in the moment, but afterward, it blurs together. That's because infinite feeds prioritize novelty over narrative. Each clip is separate, disconnected from the last. Your brain processes them quickly, then moves on. It's like snacking instead of eating a full meal. You feel busy, but not always satisfied. And that feeling, slightly full, slightly empty, often sends you back for more. Once you notice infinite scroll, you start seeing it everywhere. News apps that keep loading articles, shopping apps that present endless products, streaming platforms that autoplay the next episode before you even reach for the remote. The pattern isn't just about videos. It's about removing friction between you and the next piece of content. And friction, it turns out, is often what protects our time. Next time you're scrolling, pause and ask yourself one question. What would make me stop right now? Not later, right now. If you can't answer easily, you've just felt the power of infinite design. It's not that you lack willpower. It's that the system was built to continue unless you actively resist. And resisting requires energy. The same energy you might not have at midnight when you're tired. So what can you do? You don't need to quit social media or delete apps forever. Instead, notice the moments when the feed shifts from intentional to automatic. Notice when your thumb moves without thinking. Notice when time starts to blur. These small observations turn an invisible pattern into a visible one, and visibility changes behavior. Here's a simple metaphor. Imagine a magician performing a trick. As long as you don't know where to look, the illusion feels real. But once someone whispers, "Watch the left hand," the magic loses some of its power. Infinite scroll is like that. It's not about breaking the illusion completely. It's about knowing where the trick happens. Because the real story isn't that TikTok is impossible to close. It's that it was never designed to have an ending. And humans are storytellers by nature. We expect beginnings, middles, and endings. When something has no final chapter, we keep searching for one. Swipe after swipe, video after video, moment after moment. Next time you open TikTok, pay attention to the first swipe. Notice how easy it feels. Notice how little you have to decide. Notice how quickly the next video arrives. You might still enjoy it. You might still laugh, learn, or relax. But a small part of you will be watching the pattern instead of being pulled entirely by it. And that tiny shift, from unconscious scrolling to conscious awareness, is powerful. Because design isn't just about screens and apps. It's about shaping behavior. It's about guiding attention. It's about turning simple gestures into habits. And once you start seeing these patterns, the digital world feels different. Less mysterious, more understandable, not less enjoyable, just more visible. So tonight, when you're lying in bed and the clock creeps past midnight, you might still swipe. But maybe, just maybe, you'll notice the moment when the feed stops, being something you chose, and starts choosing for you. And in that moment, you'll realize something surprising. Closing the app isn't a battle of discipline. It's simply pressing pause on a story that was designed never to end.